Right now, inside your fuel tank, there's a quiet problem costing you hundreds of dollars every single towing season, and the people profiting from it have spent years making sure you never figure out the fix. When you hook up a trailer and your engine starts knocking, pinging, and pulling harder than it should, most people do exactly what they're supposed to do. They drive to a shop, they hand over their keys, and they walk out with a bill somewhere between $300 and $600 for an Octane correction service or a fuel system performance package. But here is what those shops will never tell you. The same result, the same protection, the same power, the same fuel quality upgrade can be achieved for roughly $1. $1. And the science behind it has been understood for over 60 years. The towing and automotive service industry in the United States alone generates over $115 billion per year. A significant portion of that money coming directly out of your pocket, is built on one simple strategy: keeping you confused about your own engine. When you tow a heavy load, your engine is under sustained stress. Combustion temperatures rise, the air-fuel mixture compresses harder. And if your fuel's octane rating isn't high enough to handle that pressure, the mixture detonates before the spark plug fires. That's engine knock, that's pre-ignition, and over time that is serious, expensive damage. The shops know this, the fuel companies know this, and both of them have structured an entire market around your ignorance of one cheap, simple, chemically sound solution. You have been robbed. Not by force, but by deliberate systematic misinformation. Drivers across the country are collectively losing billions of dollars annually to service fees, premium fuel upcharges, and performance treatments that do nothing a $1 fix couldn't do better. But that changes today. By the end of this, you will know exactly what that $1 solution is, exactly how to use it, exactly where to buy it, and exactly why it works. You will understand the chemistry well enough that no shop, no mechanic, and no fuel company will ever be able to confuse you again. You will know how to protect your engine during every single tow, whether you're pulling a boat, a horse trailer, a fifth wheel, or a loaded work trailer, without ever paying a premium fuel surcharge or a shop service fee again. And I'll also show you the one critical mistake that makes this method fail completely, a mistake that almost every first-timer makes. So stay with me, because missing that one detail will cost you everything this method is supposed to save. To understand why this solution exists and why it was buried, you have to go back to the post-war American fuel industry. In the 1940s and 1950s, as engine technology advanced rapidly and compression ratios climbed, engineers understood that fuel quality was the single most important variable in preventing engine knock under load. The solution they developed wasn't complicated. It was a class of chemical compounds called oxygenates and combustion improvers, affordable, widely available, and extraordinarily effective at raising a fuel's effective octane rating on demand. By the early 1960s, independent mechanics and fleet operators across the country were routinely adding small measured doses of these compounds directly to their fuel tanks before heavy hauls. The results were documented, repeatable, and significant. Fleet maintenance costs dropped. Engine longevity improved. Knock complaints nearly disappeared. And then something shifted. The major fuel refining companies, watching their premium fuel margins erode, began a quiet but systematic campaign to complicate the narrative. Industry-funded studies introduced doubt. Automotive service chains began offering proprietary fuel treatments at marked up prices, products that were chemically similar to what mechanics had been using for cents on the dollar, rebranded, repackaged, and sold at 40 to 60 times the actual cost. The independent knowledge slowly disappeared from mainstream repair culture. It wasn't banned, it wasn't disproven, it was simply crowded out, buried under layers of marketing complexity and manufactured confusion. What I'm about to show you is the part the industry spent decades making sure you'd never find out. The solution is acetone, pure hardware store acetone, not a proprietary blend, not a branded fuel system treatment. Acetone, the same compound found in basic nail polish remover, available at every hardware store, home improvement warehouse, and paint supply shop in the country for under $5 per quart. At the correct dosage, a small addition of acetone to your fuel tank before a tow measurably improves combustion efficiency, reduces the tendency toward pre-ignition under load, and effectively raises your fuel's performance characteristics in a way that directly mirrors what premium fuel achieves at the pump. Here is why it works, and this matters. Acetone is a highly polar solvent with a significantly higher oxygen content by molecular weight than standard gasoline. When introduced into the fuel mixture at the right ratio, it promotes more complete combustion of the fuel charge. More complete combustion means more energy released per cycle, less unburned fuel left in the chamber, lower combustion temperatures at the point of detonation, and critically, a reduction in the pressure spike timing that causes knock. It doesn't just mask the symptom, it addresses the chemistry directly. Think of it this way. If your fuel is a campfire struggling to burn damp wood, acetone is the kindling that lets every log catch completely. The fire burns cleaner, hotter where it should, and without the unpredictable flare-ups that damage your engine under load. If you've watched this far and found this useful, you're exactly the kind of person this channel exists for. People who want the real information, not the packaged version. Consider subscribing, because what's coming next goes even deeper. Now here is exactly how you do this. Before any tow, before you hook up the trailer, before you pull out of the driveway, you're going to add acetone to your fuel tank at a ratio of 1 ounce of acetone per 10 gallons of fuel. That is the critical number. 1 ounce per 10 gallons, not more. This is where most first-timers get it wrong, and it is the mistake that can actually cause problems rather than solve them. Too much acetone, anything above about 3 ounces per 10 gallons, begins to degrade certain rubber fuel system components over extended use and can lean out your mixture in ways that create new problems. The correct dosage is conservative, measured, and safe. Exceeding it is not a case of more being better. It is not. 1 ounce per 10 gallons. Lock that in. Step 1. Before you fuel up, calculate your tank capacity. Most full-size trucks hold between 26 and 36 gallons. A 30-gallon tank means you need 3 ounces of acetone, just under half a standard measuring cup. Step 2. Go to any hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, any paint or flooring supply store, and buy pure acetone. Look at the label. It must say 100% pure acetone. Some products labeled as acetone contain added moisturizers, oils, or fragrance, particularly products marketed for nail care. Those will not work and may cause harm. You want the paint aisle, not the beauty aisle. A quart of pure acetone at a hardware store costs between $4 and $6 and contains enough for over 10 full treatments of a 30-gallon tank. Step 3. Add your measured dose directly into the fuel tank before you fill up with gasoline. Adding it first allows the fuel flowing in to mix it thoroughly. Do not add it on top of a full tank. The mixing will be inadequate. Step 4. Fill your tank normally with your regular 87 or 89 octane fuel. You do not need to buy premium. That is the entire point. You have just upgraded your fuel's effective performance for pennies. One warning before you continue. Never store acetone in anything other than its original metal or approved solvent-rated container. It will dissolve many common plastics, including some fuel jugs and measuring cups. Use a small metal measuring cup or a glass vessel to dose it. Ignoring this step has caused more than a few messes, and one melted funnel will ruin an otherwise perfect morning. Before wrapping up, there's one more thing about acetone that almost nobody in this conversation ever talks about, and it is worth staying for. Acetone doesn't just protect your engine during the tow, because it promotes more complete combustion. Users who add it consistently before heavy hauls report a measurable improvement in fuel economy during the tow itself, typically in the range of 3 to 7%. Depending on load weight, terrain, and vehicle. On a 500-mile towing trip in a full-size truck pulling 10,000 pounds, that improvement translates to a real reduction in fuel stops and fuel cost. The $1 treatment doesn't just save your engine. It pays you back in fuel savings on the very trip you use it. That is not marketing language. That is combustion chemistry doing exactly what it is supposed to do. Now consider what you have been paying instead. A standard shop octane correction or fuel system service before a long tow runs, between $280 and $580 at most dealerships and independent service centers. Premium fuel, running 91 or 93 octane for the duration of a tow, adds between 0.40 and 0.80 per gallon over regular, meaning an extra $12 to $28 per fill-up on a 30-gallon truck tank. On a long towing season, say 10 significant towing trips across a year, a driver running premium fuel exclusively is spending an extra $200 to $400 in fuel costs alone, on top of any service fees. Now compare that to acetone. A quart of pure acetone costs $5. That quart delivers over 10 full treatments for a 30-gallon tank. Your cost per towing trip, roughly $0.50. Your annual cost for 10 towing trips, approximately $5. Total. The difference between what the industry wants you to spend and what the solution actually costs is not a rounding error. It is a deliberate engineered gap, and it has been sitting there quietly for decades. Drivers who make this switch describe the difference immediately. No more pinging on the highway at 65 miles per hour with 9,000 pounds behind them. No more throttle hesitation on long uphill grades. No more that sickening knock when the transmission downshifts and the load lurches forward. The engine pulls clean, it pulls steady, and it does it on regular fuel that costs 60 cents less per gallon than the premium the shop told you was non-negotiable. What you now know sits at the center of something much larger than a fuel additive trick. Engine knock under towing load is not just an inconvenience. It is the leading cause of a specific type of internal engine damage that most truck owners don't discover until it's already thousands of dollars deep. Pre-ignition events, repeated over multiple towing seasons without octane protection, gradually erode piston crowns, damage ringlands, and, in severe cases, score cylinder walls in ways that no repair can fully undo. The shops that charge you $400 for an Octane service before a tow are not just selling you a treatment, they are positioned perfectly to sell you the engine rebuild that follows when you don't come to them first. There is a reason those two services tend to live at the same address, and there is a reason the full story of what long-term knock damage actually looks like inside an engine, and how close most regular towers are to crossing that line, is something almost no one has ever laid out clearly. That story is coming. And once you see what pre-ignition damage actually does to the inside of an engine over time, the $1 fix you learn today will feel less like a money-saving trick and more like the most important thing standing between your engine and a repair bill that will make every shop visit you've ever had look like pocket change.